not believe. They will not believe, bwana. Ili prep ya kesho.
Milton and Cyprian for hosting me and this beautiful space. Mine is just about tomorrow and talking about the weaknesses. We always analyze. The problem is we've been moving forward, repeating the same mistakes and not analyzing our weaknesses. Our weaknesses has been we've been going home. I wonder why you've been going home as if the job is done. Once you get to like June 25th, it was a full house in Nairobi CBD. After our comrades stormed parliament, you were supposed to stay there and safeguard the revolution, to safeguard the gains. Whoever convinced you to go home was the hidden hand, was the hidden underminer, was the hidden can we call them sellouts who convinced you to go home. So that is the thing. If you're leaving your house tomorrow, if you're participating in this noble activity, then you must be prepared to go the whole 9 yards. You must be prepared to finish the job, to finish kumalo. You must be prepared to do what our ancestors set out to do, but they didn't have the tools to communicate. We now are blessed to have the technology so that we can be leaderless. We don't have to rely on one person. So I don't understand how one person can convince an entire mob to leave a staging area for a revolution and go home. So if it is you who is preparing to go tomorrow, wherever you will be, I may not like, if we have said occupy Jkia, if we have said occupy Mombasa Road, wherever you will be, it's not your duty to go home and abandon the cause, because that's just the beginning. You are the revolution is just but one component. The last speaker spoke about now what next. We have all these aging warlords like Raila Odinga, Oburu Odinga, we have Mbadi. These guys, all of them are opportunists waiting to cash in on where they did not reap. Shameless opportunists, shameless profiteers. They have earned from the sweat of Kenyans every electoral cycle while engaging in these phantom agreements called handshakes. So John Bardi and Co, we are warning you that if you continue making those inflammatory statements, we are going to come for you, John Bardi. Can you shut up? We don't want to hear your comments. Then if we are talking about JKIA, there is a press statement that has just been released by the Inspector General acting. He's talking about it's a protected. No. Those are stories. The protected areas are the military installations. They are what the military is not supposed to be outside tomorrow. So they're trying to sell you fear. The propagandists are overworking because this is a significant moment in the history of Kenya. Let's embrace it. It was never meant to be easy, but the fact that we delayed from June 25th, I had done a tweet that prior to June 25th, there were only 2 casualties. It was Rex Masai and one other protester. Then after June 25th, then the casualties escalated. Why? Because when you went to your estates, when you went to Githurai and Rongai and where, the police came after you there. So your going home is not a guarantee of your safety, as had been promoted by the propagandists. I will not shy to name them. That is Boniface Mwangi. That is Caliph Cairo. Everyone who discouraged you from going to State House, from occupying CBD, anyone who might have discouraged you or even pushed you to go home did not achieve their intended objective, or so they claimed, that it was all about safety and security. No. So tomorrow, where you walk around in groups, as a previous speaker had spoken about policemen in civilians, if you see any, don't allow your comrades to be picked up by policemen in civilians. Don't allow, because it is illegal. Every police who is assigned for the protest has to be in uniform. So make sure that you don't allow any of your comrades to be picked up or to be arrested or to be held. So move in crowds. We have safety stewards for the goons. Jomo Kenyatta, first of all, for me, it seems like a very strategic idea because this government does not care about locals, does not care about its own citizens, the people who pay the taxes of the very police who are tear gassing, shooting, and killing us. So, what do? Let's go to where Muzungus are, and where is it? It's the airport. Tomorrow, probably, there'll be senior diplomats landing. So, there you are guaranteed that the cops will not shoot aimlessly. They will trigger happy policemen who love just firing at any target may be asked to exercise restraint. Because why? Because they are Muzungus. So it is the best place because these guys care about Muzungus than us. If they are Kenyans in diaspora, all of you are supposed to be marching to your respective embassies. The ones in the United States of America, you're supposed to be marching to the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. Those are the institutions that have underwritten, they have bankrolled our misery, they have bankrolled our oppression. So we must go there in a peaceful manner and submit our memorandums and protest and picket. And yeah, so I am very motivated to see that there were people who are there today, but I am also disappointed to see that they have gone home. If it was a preamble, if it was a curtain raiser, they should have stayed there and wait for the others to join. So I don't understand with Gen Zs and the protesters, what's this obsession to go home early? I need to understand the psychology behind going home, that at 5 you're tired. At 5 we should be having another consignment of protesters coming to replace perhaps those who are going for a night shift or something. I need to understand the psychology because we will never reach. And somebody has just suggested over there that maybe we need to storm parliament, but I think right now parliament has been overtaken by events. We could storm there if they embark on shenanigans like approving the CSs who are renamed the deadbeats, the spent cartridges who are renamed by William Ruto the other day, who are reappointed, and even the thugs who have sneaked in there, their names have been sneaked in there. So if tomorrow is to be successful, then you must go with the mindset that you're not going to go back home. That is all I wanted to say. I think that was the most important thing that was coming from me. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you so much, Abdullah Haman. Is it?
Nelson, you can tell us the process, the petition. Imefikia wapi bwana? We are losing our assets as a nation. Tumefikia wapi?
Thank you, Amerix, for this space. So I will just give a short update on this Jkia process that we began with Wakili Makano. I was hoping he will be here, but since he's not here, so we sent a demand letter to them asking them to make available all the documents of this deal that he's, it's just a takeover of JKI. There's nothing like PPP on this deal. And we've given them 7 days, so it will elapse sometime this coming week, and we will serve them with a petition, which we are currently working on. So the petition is basically to stop this process because it's illegal. They haven't followed the PPP Act, and they have contravened so many laws in the constitution, and this thing should not be going on. And I was speaking to Wakili Makano today, and he was very positive that we will stop them at their game. So I just want to give also an update on the information I've received regarding this JKIA heist. And one of the key info that I received was about a company by the name ALG Consulting Group. So ALG is a company contracted by KAA. And as you know, consulting groups are basically companies that are contracted by organizations to help them in deal making and things like this, just to conduct maybe feasibility study. So ALG came in and was actually paid in advance 160 million. I posted on my timeline, if you go and you will see. So they were paid 160 million in advance so that they can fast track this deal. But ALG, in their submissions and in the documents I have seen, also in their informal communications that I was able to see, they were saying there is so many red flags in this project. They don't understand why KA would still go ahead with it. And one of the one of the red flags is so there's a report called the CSIA report, and in this CSIA report, Adani wants the Kenyan government, and I will read what they actually wrote to the Kenyan government, to KAA. They say the concessionaire will carry out social impact assessment. Concessionaire is basically the Kenyan government through KAA. They will conduct an social impact assessment and due diligence on the project area and conduct consultation with the affected people before commencement of the project to reduce social impacts and risk of opposition. So they were already aware that there will be some kind of public uproar. They go on to say that the contracting authority, in conjunction with other government agencies, will be responsible for mitigating and managing any public opposition, protester actions, and associated site risks. So they were very much aware of what they were doing, and they had anticipated that when this thing goes public, that it's gonna cause some kind of unrest, and they were warning the government that when this comes up, they need to be ready to deal with, this kind of unrest. But what they did not anticipate is that it will be before they conclude the deal. So this is what they never anticipated. So let me go back to ALG. ALG raised another red flag. They said that the capex refund that Adani Group wants after 30 years, they want basically a refund of the $2 billion. So in the previous documents that I had gotten, they were saying that they need about $1.8 billion to run the project. But after I saw other documents that said they needed $2 billion now to run this project. And you need to understand that they're all talking about IRR. IRR means internal rate of return. So basically, they're saying in 30 years, they will require their capex amount back with IRR. So meaning in 30 years, 2 billion now will be probably equivalent, will not be $2 billion, which we are seeing now. It will be more than this. And also, the ALG group raised another red flag. They were saying how can Adani Group ask for 18% equity on this project for Jkia. And they also said that on normal circumstances, people charge maybe 8 to 15%. Actually, it's 21%, but in the report, they had toned it down to 18%. So it doesn't really make sense why Adani would say they want 18% of Jkia after 30 years. Basically, in normal circumstances, it's either between 8 to 15% equity based on the negotiations. And the last thing I want to say is that in the ALG final report, the feasibility report, they raised a major issue on the procurement process. And I will just read what they highlighted. In
Hello,
accordance
Nelson.
with, yeah,
Just a minute.
yes,
You can
Edgar.
hold on your submission. I need the PS to complete whatever she was saying so that she can leave, and
Okay.
then you can continue from there. So kindly, Madam PS.
Can someone go ahead?
Yes, Edgar.
Okay.
Perhaps I
Um,
can. My name is Mahanu, and just to give my contribution, I was supposed to pick up from where Nelson had highlighted a few issues concerning the JKIA takeover case. I wouldn't want to belabor myself and go over the issues that he had already mentioned. But what people need to understand is that whereas we're being told that there's a company from India that has been contracted to upgrade and develop our national airport, what is really happening is a complete takeover. And I will summarize it very briefly so that everybody understands. What is happening right now is that a PIP a model of renovating and developing the airport has been submitted and has been approved. Now, the reason why we have a PIP model on major projects that involve governments is because there is always that special need for to exploit or to explore that option, because direct competitive bidding does not offer the options. That means you explore this option in a case of a uniqueness that is contained in. Now, the reason why I call it a takeover and not a leasing per se, as it has been painted, is because the funding of this project is going to cost about, when the proposal was put forth, they said that it's going to cost about 2.047 USD billion dollars. But after the evaluation committee, they reviewed that amount to 2.05 USD billion dollars, which means they increased the amount. But let me even shock you. Whereas they say that this is a public-private initiative, the whole project is being funded from the current revenue that is being earned by JKIA up to a tune of 53%. Now, they say that they are going to run the project for 30 years, after which they are supposed to hand over. You see, the model they're trying to paint is like that one that we've seen working with the expressway, whereby a private investor comes in, does an infrastructure or a project, manages it, recovers their initial capital, then hands over the project to the government. But what is happening here? This company is not putting even a single shilling into this company. And this is how they are doing it. 53% is being funded by the current revenue earned by JKIA. Then 33% is going to be funded by a loan which they want to take using the title deed of the land that is owned by JKIA. And then they are telling us that 14% is going to be funded by an investor. And we all know, I'm sure you can all understand that if someone in the Kenyan context talks of an investor, we know what that means. But more shocking is this. At the end of the process of the 30 years, when they have recovered their 2 billion, which they have allegedly invested at this point, they are supposed to be paid again 2 billion at the end of the 30 years. So which means they allegedly put in 2 billion, which in the real sense they never put it. And at the end of it, they're going to recover 2 billion US dollars in a span of 30 years. Then at the end of the 30 years, they will demand again to be paid 2 billion. So that's 4 billion US dollars. Then they will own a lifetime stake of 21%. So clearly you can see this is someone that is domiciled in this country, trying to secure their financial freedom for their children and perhaps the fourth generations to come. So it is a very serious issue that everybody needs to keep on looking at it. We are compiling the petition, and by next week we should have filed the petition, and we'll keep on sharing and updating Kenyans the status of the petition. Obviously, by the look of the materials that have been placed before me, it is highly likely that the court is going to stop the whole process so that a complete audit can be done and Kenyans can understand. And so, Kenyans, this is just but one of the issues that is happening in one of the parastatos. So, as a way forward, we also need to start demanding for a cleanup of most of the state corporations in this country. And that's where actually the problem is, because government offers services to Kenyans through state corporations. Recently, I saw the cabinet secretaries being fired and then being rehired again. What we need to understand is that based on our constitution, most of these cabinet ministers, cabinet secretaries, much as they have a lot of power, as it can be seen from where we sit, the chief accounting officers of most ministries permanent secretary, principal secretaries.